Well, we've just passed the halfway point for June, and man, what a month it's been already. Between the launch of the Switch 2 and all the games that dropped with it, both exclusives and cross platform releases, it's been a stacked month. But the fun's far from over. There's still plenty more in store for this month, and not everything's tied to the shiny new toy that is the Switch 2. So without further ado, here are 6 more games dropping this June that are definitely worth keeping an eye out. And rounding out the list at number 1, we have a game that should have just released, or at the very least have only been out for a few days now by the time of uploading this video, and that is the sci-fi open world sandbox that is The Alters. Now, as someone who's only just bought the game, I'm going to keep this summary as simple as possible, as not to spoil it for myself, but basically, The Alters is a survival game developed by 11-bit studios, where you play as Jan Dolsky, a space miner stranded alone on a hostile planet. And to survive, Jan must build and manage a massive wheel-shaped mobile base to stay ahead of the planet's deadly sun. The game features sandbox-style base building, allowing you to construct and customize various modules within your mobile base, such as living quarters, laboratories, and greenhouse. This modular approach enables you to tailor the base to your survival strategy, balancing resource management, crew well-being, and technological advancement. The twist? Jan discovers a mysterious substance called rapidium, which allows him to create alternate versions of himself, known as alters, each representing different life choices he could have made. These alters come with unique skills, personalities, and emotional depths, making them essential for tasks like base maintenance, resource gathering, and research. Managing your base involves constructing various modules like living quarters, labs, and greenhouses, and to ensure everything runs smoothly, you'll need to assign tasks to your alters, keep an eye on their well-being, and make tough decisions that can impact your survival. So, if this sounds like your kind of jam, you can grab a copy now on PC via Steam, as well as on Xbox Series X and S and PlayStation 5. Next up is the return of a franchise no one's seen in a dog's age, and that's the Gex Trilogy Remaster. That's right, the wisecracking gecko is back with a remastered collection of all 3 cult classic platformers, now with upscale visuals and smoother controls than anyone could have experienced back in the day. It's jam-packed with 90s pop culture references, fourth wall breaks, and enough sarcasm to fill a Saturday morning cartoon block. So, whether you're diving back in for nostalgia or checking it out for the first time, you'll be able to grab a copy on June 16th for PC, PlayStation, Xbox, and Switch. Coming in at number 3 is a JRPG that's announcement caught me off guard and by surprise, and that is the remastered version of the popular PS2 era hit game by Atlas, with this new entry promptly being named Raito Remastered: The Mystery of the Soulless Army. Admittedly, this title in the Shin Megami Tensei franchise comes a bit before my time, as I only got into Atlas's cult series, starting with the original P5 recently. And before any of you ask, I do plan on finishing Royal, as well as all the other spin-offs for Persona 5, then I'll do Persona 3 Reload, then SMT5 Vengeance, then Raito, and by then, the P4 remake should hopefully be out. So yeah, I'm deep in the rabbit hole now. But for anyone who doesn't know anything about the SMT universe, or like me, hadn't stumbled upon Raito before, here's the gist. You play as Raito Kuzunoha, one of the only named protagonists in the SMT series. He works as a devil summoner for a detective agency in 1920s Tokyo. You've also got Guto, the talking cat, Narumi, the boss, and Tei, the journalist, tagging along. And unlike most of Atlas's games, which are turn-based, this one is indeed an action RPG. So it might take a second to adjust if you're used to the Persona 5 methods of gameplay, but once it clicks, it's got that same signature feel of all the Atlas games. So if this sounds like your kind of jam, or you're just an addict for all things JRPG and Atlas, then maybe consider grabbing a copy when it releases on June 19th for PC, PlayStation, Xbox, and Nintendo Switch. Coming in next on our list is a real weird one that I think I'll enjoy, but no matter what version of the release trailer I look at, it leaves me with more questions than answers, and somewhat quite perplexed. much in the way I felt when I saw the trailer for Undertale for the first time, and that is the indie side-scroller Quantum Witch. And for anyone confused, just like me, here's what it's about, at least according to its creator and various news sites. Quantum Witch is a narrative-driven adventure with retro pixel art, blending choose your own adventure, point and click, and platform mechanics into what the dev is calling a plotformer. You'll play as Ren, a 20-something shepherdess whose peaceful life is shattered when she goes on a quest to find her missing flock, only to stumble upon a multiversal conflict involving ancient deities. The game touches on themes like personal freedom, identity, healing, all of which are drawn from the developer's own experience growing up in a high-control religious environment and embracing their queer identity. So, if this enigmatic conundrum of a game has piqued your curiosity, like it did mine, consider grabbing a copy when it releases on June 24th for PC. And coming in at number 5, we've got another remaster, this time for the 25th anniversary of a famous sci-fi horror / thriller, and that's System Shock 2 25th anniversary remaster. Set aboard a space station overtaken by a rogue AI, players take on the role of a soldier fighting to survive against mutated creatures and deadly machines. The remaster updates the classics with improved graphics, sound, and controls, while staying true to the original's tense atmosphere. Expect enhanced lighting, textures, and a smoother experience while preserving the eerie, survival horror vibe. It's a great mix of nostalgia and a fresh polish for fans old and new. So, if you're keen to relive some old school nostalgia or experience the fear factor for the first time, consider picking up a copy when it drops on June 26th, PC, Xbox, and PlayStation. And coming in last on this list is Horizon Journey, an open world sandbox survival game with a sci-fi twist. If you're into games like Space Engineers and Subnautica, but with a Martian setting instead of an underwater one, then this might be your new favourite. It is in early development, they haven't released the full game yet, only a demo, which is quite buggy and not user friendly, but if you've done enough sandbox survival games in beta, you can sort of figure it out, which is why I know it has some potential. But as I've said, Horizon Journey does remind me somewhat of a primitive version of Space Engineers mixed with Subnautica, but with the key difference being you're building on Mars, not a water planet. The base designs and their layout and appearance are very reminiscent of Subnautica. They are modular in design, but here the building system is slightly different as it gives you more freedom in construction as you lay everything out from a top-down perspective, which is a big departure from Subnautica's build in front of you mechanic. Now, when it comes to tools, they've taken a different approach. Instead of having many tools, it's primarily one tool at this stage, and that's this multi-purpose weapon that by hitting the center wheel on your mouse, you tell it what attachment you want to use basically. There's a laser cutter for mining small resource nodes, a solvent attachment you use to break down scrap metal and material, and of course, once you start making ammunition, it's a gun. So, we'll see what other wacky things they do as they release the full demo later this year. So, anyway, that's a little rundown on this. There's not a lot, but like I said, I've done a lot of alpha survival games over the years. I did Ark before it started, I did The Forest before it started, lots of those staples we have now, so I think this one's got potential. So if this sounds like your kind of jam, be sure to grab a copy when it drops on June the 27th for PC at this stage. And with that, that's my list of 6 more games coming out or already out this June. Let me know which ones you're excited for, or if I've missed something cool this month. Don't be shy, drop it in the comments. And of course, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button for all the latest game release news, guides, and how-tos. And I know I've been quiet on those lately, but I promise I'm getting back into the swing of those things eventually. So, if you're still watching, thanks a ton, and I'll catch you in the next one.